ABC News foreign correspondent James Longman brings us that story now from Ukraine.
US officials believe Vladimir Putin is being misinformed about Russia's poor military performance in Ukraine by advisors too afraid to tell him the truth.
One of the Achilles heels of autocracies is that you don't have people in those systems who speak truth to power or who have the ability to speak truth to power.
Declassified intelligence saying that Putin feels misled by his defense ministry, which didn't even tell him that conscripts were among those fighting and dying in Ukraine.
We've seen Russian soldiers, short of weapons and morale, refusing to carry out orders, sabotaging their own equipment, and even accidentally shooting down their own aircraft.
Their claims about drastically reducing military activity in Ukraine's north also labelled spin by the Pentagon, but images from Kyiv and Chernihiv telling a very different story. Bombardments ongoing in Irpin, a key suburb just miles outside the capital. And in Chernihiv, this video shows the aftermath of a Russian strike on a local market. President Biden speaking with President Zelensky on an hour-long call, saying the US will provide the Ukrainian government with $500 million in direct budgetary aid.
I've told President Biden what Ukraine needs. I was as sincere as possible with him. US aid is essential for us.
In other regions of Ukraine, the Russian assault relentless. The besieged port city of Mariupol in ruins. Bombed out homes and buildings cover the city. A Red Cross warehouse, seen in the satellite photo, struck by bombardments. Hundreds gathering for the funeral of 3 Ukrainian soldiers.
And our thanks to James Longman for that. Our coverage does continue now with ABC News national correspondent Maria Viriel. She is still in Warsaw, Poland. Maria, more than 4 million refugees now fleeing to neighboring countries. Take a look at this map where the majority we can see are escaping to Poland, then Romania, also Moldova. Maria, as we'll work to get that map up and kind of play. Here we go. It kind of gives you an idea where all the refugees and the numbers of refugees that are fleeing to these various countries. What are you seeing there in Warsaw? One of clearly the biggest places to take in refugees, and the mayor there talking to ABC quite a bit about how he's just trying to keep up with the influx of all those refugees.
I mean, really, what he is saying is exactly what we are seeing here on the ground. You know, we have very long days here. During the day, we are able to go out and shoot video, and in the evenings, we join you live. And the reason why I bring that forward is because it gives us an opportunity really to kind of venture outside the city of Warsaw. Today, we ended up at the largest refugee center in Europe. It holds, or it can hold, up to 20,000 refugees. Right now, while there has been a slowdown, they are still seeing about 6,000 people go through there and stay overnight every single day. We took a tour of that facility. It was very interesting to see how many families are there and really how many children are still escaping Ukraine at this time. We spoke with a number of people who are coming from Mariupol, which we know has been very hard hit in this whole situation. So to hear their stories of escape, I know we've been talking about this for weeks now. Several of my colleagues have been inside that facility, but to hear the continued stories of escape, people who left 2-3 weeks ago and are just getting to the center, it's really amazing to see and understand what they're going through right now.
All right, Maria, stay with us. As you know, we just ran a report by our James Longman, who is there in Ukraine following all the troop movements and the violence. And James, I know that you were a little delayed because we were hearing explosions. You've actually been tweeting about the activity. I'm glad that you're able to join us live, but maybe you can kind of set the scene for us right now about what you're dealing with. You're clearly okay, you're safe, but just kind of update us. It really is, things change by the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Just before we were due to come on air, we heard another explosion here, Kira, in what looks like, we don't know, but in what looks like the same place where there was another strike just earlier this afternoon. Now, the Ukrainians haven't made any public comments about this. It seems to us that it could have been a cruise missile attack. Actually, as I was stood here about to go live on air, I heard the whistling of the missile in the air when it struck earlier this afternoon. Tonight, we didn't hear that, and yet again, we heard this explosion just north of where I am now. Now, like I said, it's very difficult to know exactly what this site is. The Ukrainians are keen for people to not know what it is. Of course, Russians they have a certain number of targets they have here in Ukraine. They'll be keen to be striking what they consider to be military targets. I have to say, earlier on today, we went down to look at this site, and we couldn't really see much at all. There was sort of signs of smoke on one of the buildings, but apart from that, you'd be forgiven for thinking nothing had happened at all, apart from a kind of a vague smell of smoke in the air. And there were people around. People were on the roads. In fact, the authorities hadn't closed the road. People had decided to just try to get on with their lives. As I was walking down the sidewalk to get to this location, there were kind of joggers going past. Now, I don't want to paint a picture of Kyiv as a safe place to be. That many millions of people, 2 million people have left this city. There's only about 1 million that remain. Most people do stay hunkered down at home. But more and more, we are seeing people on the street, we are seeing people on the road, and as I look over there now, I'm seeing the dots of cars driving up and down this highway that sort of snakes alongside the river, which is directly next to where this strike happened. So this is the kind of level of defiance you get here. People in Ukraine want to get on with their lives. They want to show Russia that they will not be cowed, no matter the danger. And it seems tonight that there is more danger here in Kyiv.
Well, truly, the people of Ukraine are so resilient, those in particular staying by to fight. Did we just hear something again there, James?
I mean, no, I didn't. We have been hearing what we might be kind of small arms fire, perhaps some bombardments in the distance, but in terms of central Kyiv, no, we haven't had another strike.
Okay, well,
if there was, I would have moved.
Yeah, I would hope so. We did rack up, though, that moment, James, you were just referring to earlier today when that missile strike hit pretty close to where you are in Kyiv. Let's just take a look at that, and I have a couple more questions for you. All right, so you can actually, not only did you hear it, did you feel it, we're looking at it now, what you saw actually from your post. Can you bring us any details about that moment earlier today? And also, we should point out from your live location, you didn't have a helmet on. Now, clearly, you're vested up, you have your helmet. You're seeing this activity draw even closer. Just give us some background to what did happen this morning and why the change of pace here.
Well, look, I mean, this is obviously, you know, the people of Kyiv are cognizant of Russian promises to move back away from their city. This is something that Russia has said. They want to dramatically de-escalate the fight around the capital, move towards the east. This just reinforces the perception that people here in this city have, which is that Russia is lying. As we stood here ready to go live, I think we kind of felt that the danger to the immediate center of Kyiv perhaps was waning. I mean, for the last few weeks, there's a sense that the Russians, although they had wanted to completely invade Ukraine, to occupy this country, to encircle the city, and maybe even to send troops in, we were kind of getting the sense, well, no, there's no way that they can do that. They have struck at Kyiv city before, but I think this is the closest they've come to the city centre. And it just goes to show this is a similar strategy that we're seeing in other parts of the country. They haven't been able to occupy, so they take out their fury from the air. We don't know why they hit this particular site, but we've seen them do this in places like Irpin, which I visited earlier this week. Residential neighbourhoods pounded again and again and again after troops had withdrawn. So the danger from the skies here remains. Kira?
It does, and as we see this, as we listen to this, as we see a change in momentum here from this morning even to now, you know, there are these claims that Putin can't trust his military, that he's being misinformed by his advisors because they're too afraid to tell him the truth about what's going on. There apparently was a response to these claims on behalf of Russia today. What more can you tell us about this? And can you even parse out the truth here of what Putin does know, doesn't know, if his military advisors are indeed afraid of him? It's so hard to figure out what truly is happening at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke to you a number of times from Moscow, from outside the Kremlin, and I was no closer then to understanding Vladimir Putin as I am now. Look, he is surrounded by groups of people who are very much cast from the same cloth. You know, this is the Cold War generation. They believe in the kind of the fantasy of the Russian Empire, rebuilding a Russian empire, and the fantasy, as we're seeing it, really, of the might of the Russian military. Apparently, the second most powerful military on earth. It's not clear what they've been telling him, if they've been trying to shield him from the truth. I mean, Kira, I'd ask you, if it wasn't going so well, would you want to go and tell Vladimir Putin that you'd failed him? I don't think so, and I think possibly that may be part of what is happening here. It's just so difficult to know. We do know that Russians have certain tactics in battle. Part of the reason why they look to have lost so many senior commanders at this point, I think one of the tallies is up to 13 generals of different types who've been killed in this war, and that is because they send their generals to the front, because they don't trust anyone else to go to the front of these wars. Then the communications are so bad, so they're sending people with the most to lose to the front of the fight. Look, we have very little idea about the true picture of what's happening in the Kremlin, what's happening among the senior command staff of the Russian military. But the facts on the ground speak for themselves. The Russian military has not been able to carry out the invasion that it wanted to, and now we're looking to a pivot to the east for further troop advancements there. We'll wait and see what they're able to do there as well, whether or not the military will fail Putin once again, and then we'll see perhaps more fury, more anger from the skies. And that phrase, chemical weapons, we've used it before. The possibility of it here is still hanging over Ukraine.
So, Maria, in light of all this activity and what James has been telling us, what he's been witnessing from this morning throughout the day, and sort of this change in the environment, you know, we know that millions of refugees have fled Ukraine, the majority of them headed to Poland, and then it slowed down a little bit. They seemed to get more organized there as they were taking refugees in. Have you seen a change in pace since this activity, this uptick that we've seen with James today?
You know, I think what we're seeing right now is a slowdown, but it's kind of an adjusted slowdown, if that makes any sense. The people that are closest to the border obviously have made it through. Those are the masses that we have seen. But now we're kind of getting this second wave or third wave even of people that are coming from as far as Mariupol. They had a hard time obviously getting out. It's been weeks of traveling for them in order to get here safely. So I think that's what we're kind of seeing now. These are the families that we're seeing. One thing we have heard, not just from the families, but the people who are running some of these shelters is they definitely still are looking for a plan from the government. If this is something that is going to continue to linger on, they need more aid. They need more of a plan in place to make sure they can continue to service these refugees over the next few months.
James and Maria, appreciate you both and your reporting. James, take extra care. Thank you both so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.